Hey there, guys, and welcome to episode 2 of On the Spot. It's my brand new sports debate show. We're back with the football guys today to debate a variety of things. The seasons have started all over Europe, so we're predicting things such as the UCL winners, the UCL dark horse, which player from the Premier League is going to make a real claim to reach his World Cup squad, and who will be the Premier League player of the season. And also something new today, we have added a point scheme. So after each round, we're going to vote for each other. Of course, you can't vote for yourself. And vote based on whose debate was the best. Not whose opinion you agree with, but who actually sold their opinion the best. You guys leave your comments down below who you think won the debate, but check out our points to see who the winner is at the end of the episode. Subscribe if you're new around here, but make sure you enjoy the video. So hey there guys, welcome to the second episode of On The Spot. If you're new to this, it's our brand new sports debate show where we'll be talking about the current hottest topics in football, cricket, tennis, whatever. Once again, we're back with the football guys because they're very knowledgeable on their football games. I brought them back. We are new to the season. 3 games have been played in a lot of the big leagues in Europe and the Champions League's about to start. So I thought, let's take a day to debate our predictions for the season, what's going to happen based on the successive transfers, how well teams are going to do the Champions League, Premier League, all of that stuff. So first up, guys, the first question I have for us is quite simply, who do we think is going to win the Champions League this season? I'm not giving you multiple choice. I just want you to write an answer and we'll fight it out as to whose prediction is the wildest. 3, 2, 1. Perfect. Okay, so we do have 2 same answers here. Varun and Deva both gone for Barcelona. Daniel's gone for PSG and I've gone for Real Madrid. So they have all won the Champions League before. No random newbies here. Let's go for Daniel first. Why have you gone for PSG to retain their title when they're actually only, I think, third in the bookies after Liverpool and Barcelona?
To be honest, I think that from what I've seen throughout the summer, at the Club World Cup, excluding the final, obviously, I don't really know what happened then. Even as a Chelsea fan, I was confused by the result. But the first few games of the League One season have also been just absolute blowouts for PSG. Like, they beat an extremely good Toulouse team, Toulouse, I think, would easily rank top 4 by the end of this League One season, and they beat them 6-3 with João Neves scoring a hat-trick with 2.
One of the best hat-tricks of all time as well.
Yeah, one of the best hat-tricks of all time. Also, I think that they just have enough squad depth and they've got great team chemistry, which, this is what actually got Real Madrid the repeat last time. They didn't really have, they obviously had a star-studded team, but what worked best for them was that the players had played with each other for a long time and that they had very great team chemistry. Because if I remember correctly, I don't really think that Real Madrid's team changed too much during the repeat. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't really remember. Yeah, I don't remember either. And PSG haven't really brought in anyone big this summer, at least from what I can recall. At least someone who would be a major game changer. So
the only position they have changed, which is quite significant, I think, is their goalkeeper. And Chevalier is meant to be a promising young guy, but he doesn't look anywhere near as solid as Donnarumma did, especially last season. Donnarumma had an outstanding year. Do you think that could possibly affect? Because it nearly lost them the Super Cup in the end to Spurs. Yes, he saved a penalty, but do you back him to win the Champions League again when Donnarumma did a lot last year for them, especially in the Champions League?
Yeah, Donnarumma was definitely a vital part of that squad last year, and I was a bit confused when I heard that he was leaving, but I think that was just some internal disputes with the board. I don't think it had anything to do with his performances. And I think that Chevalier is a good replacement for him, but it will take time to see how he actually fits in. Because for goalkeepers, it might be weird, but it's actually hard to adapt to a new environment at first. So I'm not blaming him for making a few mistakes in the first few games. And I think that he'll just show his class later on. The thing is, they don't really have a great backup keeper. Their backup keeper is Matvei Safonov, who I don't really rate too much. So in the case that he gets injured or he doesn't perform well, I don't really know what will happen to them. But anyway, I'm sticking with PSG.
PSG. Okay. Varun, you've gone for your supported, loved club, Barcelona, to win the Champions League. It's been, what, 11 years since they won the Champions League? Why do you think they could do it now?
Yeah, there's no need for the reminder. But I think as soon as we started, like they so far, even though like they've had 2 wins and a draw, they've actually looked really strong in terms of their squad depth. And right now, moving forward, they have a lot of like they have a decent mix of youth and experience. So they like Lamine Yamal, Pedri, Pau Cubarsí. These guys are they're kind of improving every single game. And I think when you have the likes of Lewandowski providing that kind of finishing and leadership in the final third, that kind of helps them progress throughout the season. And that's what we saw last season as well. They kind of started getting their game up defensively as the season progressed. And I think Hansi Flick as well. He's kind of just pushing this very young squad to be really hungry, and I know they're gonna have the kind of motivation to just push through these big games that they kind of almost suffered in last season. Like the like one of the El Clasicos, or even the Inter Milan semi final, which I really believe that we should have gone through instead of conceding that fourth goal. I think it was in the 117th minute. So yeah, with the likes of Marcus Rashford, we got now Rooney Bardic from we got Juan Garcia. So I think these kind of adds like a couple rotational options for some of the players that are currently having injury issues, such as Gavi and Balde. And I think Frankie De Jong as well is kind of working back to full fitness. So I think if they sort out these positions, they can definitely get their groove back and dominate like they did last season.
Okay, Deva, you've also gone for Barcelona. Anything different to Varun? Any other reasons?
I mean, not really. I think Varun hit the nail on the head, to be honest. I think they're just, along with PSG and potentially Liverpool, I mean, we haven't seen enough of it from Liverpool this season yet, but they just play their best football, I think. I think that, the likes of Yamal, if Rashford finds his feet quickly, they could really be a force going forward. They've still got the likes of Rafinha. I don't think they've lost anyone too major this summer. I don't think. And they've brought in, a kind of wild card player in Rashford. You don't really know what to expect with him. It's been, a few years since he hit his peak. And I just think that kind of unknown quantity, along with that, the very proven quality of that midfield, hopefully Gavi's injury isn't too major. They've still got who I think is the best midfielder in the world, Pedri. I just think it's very difficult to look past that Barcelona midfield and attack. PSG have an incredible one as well, but I just think.
Yeah, I think PSG do have a psychological edge to like defend.
Whose attack do you think is better, PSG's or Barcelona's?
As in what, on paper or as a team?
As in Dembele, Doué, Kvaratskhelia versus Rafinha, Yamal, Ferran Torres, Lewandowski.
I think
attack PSG, but
do you not think their defense is better as well?
PSG, no.
Barcelona.
I think Barcelona's defense is. I think
they play a lot higher. It's a higher risk. It's more entertaining to watch, I think. But is it?
I think PSG's defense is definitely proven to be stronger than Barcelona's, because especially considering our offside, like our high line trap that we kind of implement every single game. I've noticed that it's kind of getting easier for even the smaller teams to start predicting as to when they need to time their run in order to get past Barca's defense. But when Inigo Martinez was there, it was actually very crucial. I think Deva, you mentioned earlier, we lost him, and he's a big player in my opinion, which we lost. He was one of our biggest players in defense last season. So in terms of defense, I'll definitely give it to PSG. But I think we have a more prominent attack. We actually I think we were the highest scoring trio in the world last season with Pedri, Rafinha, and Yamal. But I'm not sure. It is tough though. It's kind of like a 50-50 for me.
Okay. Well, I've gone for Real Madrid mainly because with PSG, I think the lack of preseason has impacted their players a little bit fitness-wise. Yeah, they've started the league and brilliantly, but I think a few of their players are already injured. Barcelona, as Varun said, haven't started the league. I think they've started the league similarly to Real Madrid. I think it's much of a difference. Real Madrid last season was shambolic in the Champions League. They lost to Liverpool. They got smashed by Arsenal in their away leg, and they lost the home leg as well, I think. And they did not deserve to get to the semis, yet they still did. under Ancelotti, and Ancelotti was slowly fading away, yes. However, I think Xabi Alonso has finally worked out how to make Vinicius Junior and Mbappe work together. And if you do that, I think Real Madrid's attack becomes deadly all of a sudden. Rodrigo's still there. I don't know if he'll move in January. I think there's a chance he might get some move in January to possibly even an Arsenal if they're still interested in a left winger to bring in. But their midfield outstanding. Their defense is good. They brought in Howson. They brought in Trent. But Xabi Alonso, he got Leverkusen to a Europa League final in his first season in Europe, I think. So I back him to do the same, at least get to the final with a Real Madrid squad. And if you look at that run, their group stage draw isn't actually that bad. Their trickiest match is probably them going to Kairat, which is like a 9-hour drive from London. So it's a 9-hour flight from London, so I don't know how much it is from Madrid. That's exhausting for I think any player to do that travel and come back. But their draw looks good. I back their team a lot. I don't want them to win it. But something tells me the fact that Trent left and there's this whole aura about Trent leaving is a mistake already because he's not playing. I have a feeling that he might get the last laugh in this and he's going to end up winning the Champions League. If he wins over Liverpool, especially, the media would love that. And I think even though Liverpool might win the league, Real Madrid have got something, and Xabi Alonso's got something that he'll make this team click perfectly for the Champions League and when we come to May.
I can't see them getting past Liverpool or, to be even honest, like Marseille as well. I mean, I can obviously like there's.
I don't know what the game against Anfield would be like.
City as well,
they do. City, I back them to be City, and I back them to be Marseille. They could get a draw at Anfield. They were poor last year at Liverpool, really poor.
They could get a draw at Juve as well with the Alliance. You never know.
They never start the
Juve are a good side.
They usually start very dodgily, but then they come
team now.
In the knockouts. They come into the knockout stages and they do well. But last year, Mbappe and Vinicius, they just did not work well together. So this year, it looks like they already are. So
did they get to the semis last year?
Huh?
Did they get to the semis last year? Was it the quarters?
They got to the semis and lost to Arsenal, yeah. But
I
mean, they should have gone out
in the semi-final.
That was quarters against
Arsenal played PSG in the semi-final.
They should have lost to City in the thingy. They got City in the knockouts. Then they had Atletico. Then I think it was
Arsenal.
Yeah.
Then it was Arsenal in the quarter-final. Then Arsenal lost to PSG in the semi.
Oh, okay, yeah. So they got to the quarters and lost, but I back them to get a little bit further. Even if they don't win the whole thing, I back them to at least get to the semis/final.
Let's hope not.
And once Real Madrid gets to the semis, you're not really. I don't think they're ever not the favourite against anyone if they get to the semi-final. So on that basis, if Real Madrid played PSG now, I would still back PSG to probably edge it. But I feel like Xabi Alonso's slowly emerging and showing himself as a manager, especially if he gets Real Madrid to win the Champions League. Then suddenly his stock goes up massively.
You're relying on Real Madrid's kind of
legacy. I am relying on that legacy more
rather than their actual team.
But Howson is a really good purchase. Dean Howson's a good purchase. Trent, I think he'll slowly emerge him into the team. They lost some experience in Modric, but with Mbappe and Vinicius, I think you can win anything, really. That's what I'm going off.
But that's star quality.
With star quality, star quality and legacy. That's what I'm going off.
That's what.
It's annoying, but that's just who they are. One thing we are going to bring back is voting to see who made the best argument. So you've heard all the arguments now. We're going to vote for each other. Obviously, we can't vote for ourselves, and give each other points throughout the episode. And by the end, we will see who's the best debater out of the four of us. So, who do we think won the argument? Did I argue Real Madrid well? Did Daniel argue PSG well? Who argued Barcelona? What you guys choose? Okay, so first up, Varun's been given 2 points from me and Daniel. Daniel's got one from Deva, and Deva's got one from Varun. So it's a mix that I'm the only one who went missing on Real Madrid. So if Real Madrid can help me and win the whole Champions League, that'd be lovely. Let's move on to question 2 now. Sticking with the Champions League, we've decided the winners, but who will be the dark horses? This could be a team to get out of the group stage that no one expects. It could be a team to get to the final, semis, or even win the whole thing that maybe people don't have in the high up in the odds. Who do we think will be the dark horse of the Champions League this season? Okay, so let's have a look at the answers. Once again, 2 people the same. Me and Varun have both gone for Napoli. Daniel's gone for Bodo Glimt, and Deva's gone for Chelsea. So, Deva, let's start with you. Why do you think Chelsea are going to be the dark horses, and how far do you expect them to make in this year's Champions League?
I think that Chelsea could very well reach the latter stages. I think if you're going to call a team as big as Chelsea a dark horse, I think you are expecting them to get to the semi-final or the final. And I think this. I think they definitely have an outside shot. I wouldn't call them a favourite. I wouldn't say they're in my top sort of 3 or 4 teams to win it, but I think I think with some of the players that they've brought in, the likes of Esteval, João Pedro's looked very good at the start of the season. I know Delap's been injured, but I think it depends. I don't know how long his injury is, but if he could come back and provide that kind of striker depth, they've still got the likes of Palmer. 3 months, yeah. So he'll be there for the latter stages of the Champions League if were Chelsea to get that far. They've still got, I think, a brilliant left fullback pairing in Cucurella and Reece James. I like Levi Colwill. I think he's a very good centre half.
He's injured, isn't he?
And they've got. Is Levi Colwill injured again? I think he is as well, isn't he?
I think that was a huge problem they had. They didn't replace.
He is injured. Yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah. And they've still got, I think the Chelsea midfield is looked upon as very underrated because they've still got Palmer. They've still got I think over the last year has been the best central defensive midfielder in the world in Moises Caicedo. Enzo Fernandez coming into his own form. I think that this Chelsea team really can go far in this competition.
Okay, that's fair. Daniel, you've gone for Bodo Glimt. Now, I'm not. Have they been in the Champions League last few seasons, or has it just been Europa and Conference for them?
So this is actually their first ever season in the Champions League, and the interesting thing about them is that first last year they got to the semi finals of the Europa League, which is a pretty big accomplishment, and then second of all, something which a lot of people may not know about them is that they play their home games in one of the northernmost stadiums in all of Europe, and because grass doesn't grow there, they actually have to use AstroTurf for their stadium. So what happens pretty often is that when they play against a team, they win by a lot in the home leg, and then they lose by a small margin in the second leg. But yeah, basically most of their fixtures are relatively easy, and I can see them reaching the round of 16 or the round of 32 or whatever it's called, the playoff.
You back them together group stage.
But Harry, when you say dark horse, do you mean performing past the round of 16, or as in?
No, as in it depends on the team's value themselves. Yeah.
Oh, so you're saying for that specific
team? So Bodo Glimt, this is their first ever time in the Champions League. I think getting to the round 16, if they got to the quarters, I think that'd be an unbelievable performance from them.
Oh yeah. But for Chelsea,
is Bodo Glimt's home record good?
Yeah, they play well at home. They played Tottenham last year, didn't they? In the Europa League.
Yeah, they lost to Tottenham, but they beat someone before. I think they beat Lazio, was it?
That was a
big surprise at the time.
Oh,
so
they beat the French team.
Definitely a fair shout. Okay, so me and Varun have gone for Napoli. So I've gone for Napoli mainly because they did win Serie A last season. The one big negative with Napoli, the only reason I was debating over them and Borussia Dortmund was because Napoli have Antonio Conte as manager, and his record in Champions League is dreadful. With Chelsea, with Juventus, with whoever he's been with, I don't know why, but he can't do it in Europe. This is the first time I think he's got a genuine chance because he's got Lukaku as a striker who does well in the Champions League, with Kevin De Bruyne as his attacking midfielder, and Scott McTominay shoots to score for him every time. This is his best shot. With Kevin De Bruyne in your creative outfit, I think you could do really well in the Champions League. They're the best Italian team right now. They're probably the favourites for Serie A, but Serie A is very congested at the top of the table. So the only negative with this is if Serie A does get close near the end, they may not try as hard at the Champions League if they get that far. So that could probably spoil the Serie A season. Very similar to what Inter had last year, where they didn't win a single trophy, I think, after being on for a quadruple or something. That's the only real negative, but I like their squad. Conte is a good manager. He will figure out somehow. De Bruyne, Lukaku, McTominay, I think that's a very, very good attacking three to have for your goals. I fancy Napoli a lot. And they've brought in Rasmus Højlund, I think, as their backup striker as well. So that's another striker on the books.
Because I think they got someone from Bologna as well. I think it was a keeper. They got, what's his name? Milinkovic-Savic.
The keeper on loan. Yeah. So that's a good signing for them. I really like that squad.
From what I've seen, what he plays with Napoli is he goes from a 3-5-2 to sometimes 4-3-3, and he uses that for defensive games. When he's playing against the likes of Inter, AC, and Juve and bigger teams like that. So yeah, they could definitely pull it off. They got good experience on their team, and De Bruyne and Lukaku can definitely help that off. So
I mean, the team they had a few years ago with Kvaratskhelia, Osimhen, that nearly got to, I think they either lost in the quarters or the semi. I think they lost in the quarters to AC Milan, which is a surprise at the time because AC and Inter got to the semis together, ahead of Napoli, who won the league. But last year, Conte had no European football and he won the league with Napoli. This year, he does. Winning the league will be harder, but I'd back them to get quarterfinals, possibly semis. If they get to the quarters and they end up beating a big team such as Liverpool or an Arsenal, I think that's a dark horse achievement for them.
It depends who they get, really. I think they'd have to get to the semi-final or further if they haven't beaten anyone big for it to be a dark horse.
Harry, do you think them losing like Osimhen and Raspadori is kind of going to affect their final third and like the kind of
not much because they have Lukaku and Højlund and McTominay. That I think is fine for me.
Do you think Højlund's going to adapt though?
Højlund was fine in Serie A before he joined Man United. He only played a little bit there, but he was absolutely fine for Atalanta. And he's got better chance created. When Kevin De Bruyne is passing you the ball, I think anyone can score.
Is there not a chance that some of Napoli's more seniors might be, I don't want to say, kind of losing their touch a little bit? I mean, we saw De Bruyne in the league last year, in the Premier League. Obviously,
he started extremely well so far.
Yeah, he has, but it's just a case of how long he can keep it up for. I heard,
I know the fact that he didn't play that much. I think minutes-wise, he came coming off the bench and all that stuff. So the fact that his minutes have been varied last few seasons, I think that will help him a lot this year. So, who made the best argument for their points? Okay, so we got 2 points for myself, 1 for Daniel, and 1 for Deva. So I'm finally off the mark. I think that's everyone off the mark now, which is brilliant. Let's move on to the Premier League now. So we've done our Champions League stuff. First up, the summer transfer window is finished. It finished last Monday with a very big deadline day. But the Big Six did a lot of business, and the Premier League, I think, outspent everyone in Europe in terms of money by quite a bit. I think everyone altogether was less than the Premier League. But what we're going to do is look at the Big Six's transfer business and rank them from 1 to 6 based on how well we think they spent. Did they miss any transfers? Did they sell well? Have they got a new manager and whatever? How well has their transfer summer window been? Let's rank it 1 to 6. Okay, so let's have a look at everyone's lists. Starting off, we got 3 Liverpool first. I'm the only one who's gone for Arsenal first. But everyone has stuck with Liverpool and Arsenal as the top 2. And do we all have Man United? No, we don't. We've got really mixed at the bottom here. Daniel, first time, you've got Chelsea, your own team, second last. I've got them 4th. Deva, I think, had them high up as well. Oh, Deva's got them low.
I have them 4th.
Huge mix, okay. I'm the only one who's respecting Chelsea here. All right, Daniel, why have you gone for your own club quite low?
Yeah, so this year we've made a net profit from our sales, which is pretty impressive considering we've signed like big players. However, the only notable ones really who actually have a chance at getting in the starting 11 this year are Deva and João Pedro, who's already made a difference, to be fair, and Liam Delap as well. And I've actually been impressed with Liam Delap so far. Like, I thought he would be way worse than he's actually played. So I think that's good for him. But in general, I don't think that we've signed someone to take us to the next level, basically, because for the past few years we've been in and around 4th place. Like 3 years ago we were 12th, which was pretty awful. And I don't really think that we've signed anyone who could be that big of a game changer. Maybe Festival unleashes his potential, but I don't really think he'll do it this year. Only one that I would swap Chelsea with would be United, because I was debating between the two, whether to put them 4th or 5th. But I think that Mbemo and Cunha are just better than João Pedro and Esteval as like marquee signings, and Šeško as well. Although I've never really rated Šeško, I don't really like him at all. But we'll see what happens. I think that Liverpool have had by far the best window, and Arsenal are close behind. Tottenham as well have signed quite a few game changers, especially towards the end of the window. Like, if we had recorded this 3 or 4 weeks ago, I'd have put Spurs in last probably.
Well, talking of Spurs in last, Varun, you have gone for Spurs in last. So can you explain that for us?
Now, I'm not
None of us
looking.
are in third.
Yeah, I'm not looking down on their transfer business. I mean, they have obviously. I think they did a total spend of around 170 million euros, like in total, and a couple of the signings that they did was for like Tell and Simons. I just think that these kind of players, obviously, they do have that kind of potential, but they're not like guaranteed starters for their team, and I don't think they're going to deliver immediately the results that the team's going to look for. Um, and obviously they've lost Son, which is a massive departure from their team. That removes a lot of experience and leadership for most of their impactful players. So I think that kind of potential is just risky to look upon their new signings. And like I think what's it called? I think they had like a couple weak spots last season as well on their like center back depth and their kind of like their defensive stability. So from what I know, anyways, like I haven't seen a lot of like backward, like forward options for these kind of incoming players such as Simons and Tells to get that much time to adjust. So yeah, like a lot of the squad is just constantly rotating and it's changing. So there, it might have. I just see it affecting their chemistry within each other. So especially like in early on in the season. So yeah, I just think their heavy net spend isn't really gonna bring a lot of results in, and it's just gonna put more pressure on the club to perform, and that's when they're gonna just collapse.
Okay, that's fair. Deva, talk us through your list.
So I think straight away I thought I like Daniel. I thought Liverpool had by far the best window in terms of incomings and outgoings. I think the outgoings is the thing that really separates us from Arsenal. Getting the 70 million for Luis Diaz, 50. I think it was 45 for Darwin Nunez, 35 for Jarell Kwanzaa. We've sold very well in this window, and it's just I know Salah went viral with that tweet of "Let's respect the Premier League champions," but I do think it is an upgrade from Diaz and Nunez to Florian Wirtz and Alexander Isak. I think that Liverpool have just really upgraded their attack in this window, and I think if we'd have got Mark Gahey over the line and into through the door, it would have been a 10 out of 10. I mean, it's a 10 out of 10 anyway, but it would have been an undeniably perfect window. I had Arsenal in second. I think they've made some really astute signings, like Zubimendi, Eze, Gyökeres. They've addressed their striker issue finally in Gyökeres, and I think they've just signed a good amount of depth in the likes of Madueke and Mosquera as well. I had Spurs in third. I think we all had Spurs third except Varun, right?
Yep.
I think that Simmons is definitely a starter for them. I think Simmons and Kudus will be, I think they can be those quote unquote game changing signings for Tottenham. And they did get Vuskovic as well, a young Croatian centre back, as well as I think they got Danso in on a permanent as well. So they have kind of addressed their centre back. I mean, it could have been better if they signed another centre back for sure. But I think it still ranks higher than maybe I don't know. Maybe I could have Chelsea higher purely on the fact that they've sold well this window. I think that is one thing that Chelsea have done really well, selling the likes of I think they got 60 million for Ugachukwu, Dewsbury Hall, and there was another midfielder that they sold for around about 15-20 million. So I think Chelsea have done well in terms of their sales more so than their signings. Because I do agree with Daniel's point that not many of the players that they've signed will instantly come in and change things. And then the two Manchester clubs near the bottom, I think that the players that Man United have signed going forward are Seshko, Cunha, and Mbermo are better than the ones that City have signed. City signing two goalkeepers, but they haven't addressed their issue at right back. They've still got Mateus Nunes playing there. So I think overall it's been a decent window for City, but nothing to write home about for them.
Okay, so going through my list, we'll start off bottom. I think United have had the worst window, mainly because they used their funds a little bit wrong. So it's obviously buying, like Daniel said, they bought three marquee names in Sheshko, Cunha, and Mbermo. out of those three, I would have wanted Cunha the most, and I think it's good that they got him. But if you're going to get Cunha, I don't think there's any need for Mbeumo with the amount of money that he costs. I think you could have either not bought Mbeumo, or if you want to buy Mbeumo, that's fine. But then you have to sell Bruno Fernandes. I don't think there's any need to play Bruno Fernandes in the deep role when he's already created the most chances. I know all this, but you had 120 million off something really outrageous from Saudi. Yes, he did. He himself said he didn't want to go, but they could have persuaded him because now you've got a problem where Kobe Mainoo isn't playing. You got Kobe Mainoo, Mason Mount, Bruno Fernandes, Cunha, and Mbeumo, who can all play in the 210s. But you have no central midfield player. The only central midfield player they have is Ugarte, who they don't trust a single minute, or Casemiro, who can't run. They could have probably gone to Brighton and said, you know what, we'll offer you big money for Baleba. However, I know you're not going to accept this. We'll give you more money because we've just sold Bruno Fernandes for so much money. We've got the money now. Their problem is money, and also the sale of Bruno Fernandes would have helped them a lot in the future. I think they missed out on that big time. Other than that, their business is fine. I've not got a problem with Šeško, to be honest. I don't think he's that great either, but it's a striker. It's not the end of the world. And they got rid of their deadwood in Sancho, Rashford. Some of these are loans, I know, but at least they got rid of them, and Garnacho, which is fine.
Hoyland.
City have had a slightly better window for me, mainly because they brought in players that they at least needed in attacking areas. Rangers, I think, is a better signing than all of United's signings. The right-back situation is definitely a problem, I agree. And I don't know why they went for 2 goalkeepers either. I still don't think City spent anywhere near like what they used to spend 3-4 years ago. Because when they used to be the best team, they used to go and say, you know what, they used to have a Liverpool-esque window. Not this much. Not like we're going to explode and buy every player. But they maybe would have gone for, I don't know, they would have gone Vert. I think they really wanted Vert as well. They failed to get Vert, which is a problem. When you wanted De Bruyne replacement, they didn't get the number one option they wanted. And they went a rival, which is a bigger problem. Chelsea have had a solid window. It's fine. I've got no problem with them. I would have them above Tottenham, but I don't think they brought enough game changes, like Daniel said. So I've got them slightly below Tottenham, mainly because Kolo Muani, I think, is also a brilliant loan at the end of the deadline day. I think he could cause some real damage, especially in the Champions League. And Liverpool and Arsenal are very close for me. I went with Arsenal ahead of us just because their squad looks more complete than ours, in my opinion, by a decent stretch. Centre-back depth, theirs is better. Full-back depth, theirs is better. Attack-wise, we've got the best starter, but you could say their depth is better there as well, possibly. And midfield depth. I mean, their second team, I think, could easily compete and finish 9th, 8th in the Premier League. It's really good. And I think that's also why we would respect them quite well in the Champions League this season. So that would be my list. Is there any big outrageous calls any of us have made there, do you think? Apart from Varun maybe putting Spurs last, which I find quite surprising, to be honest.
I mean, it's up to you guys. But I was going to ask you, Harry, about putting United last. But because, considering they had a trophy-less season last season, don't you think they had they still have the pull to make these big investments in the
the pull is great. They'll always have the pull. They're Man United. They're Man United. They're always going to have the pull. That's not a problem. But the problem is how you spend the money.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So with Mbeumo, he proved himself at Brentford. I think he scored 20.
The problem isn't buying Mbeumo. It's about you shouldn't have bought it when the bigger problem is central midfield. If you've only got a budget of money, there's no point spending on another attacker.
So who do you think they should have went for instead in the
Who should they have brought in?
They could have just kept Bruno Fernandes and played him in the 10. They've got he's an elite number 10. You don't need to play him deeper down. There's no need for that. And he's useless there, according to loads of United fans.
They're just going to play, surely in United's best team, they're just going to have Bruno and Cunha in the 10.
Exactly, that's my point.
But then you can have Mbeumo still wide.
Right now, the way
you can play Cunha further forward.
The way Amorim wants to clearly play is Mbeumo and Cunha as 2-10s who keep going with Mason Mount and doing some weird thing up front. But he's very adamant that Bruno, you're going to be deeper down for me. And it's clear that it's not working because they're getting outrun in every single midfield match against flipping. Who did they lose to in the cup? Grimsby? Yeah.
Grimsby.
I mean, he came on. He was useless that game as well. There is no need to buy two attacking midfielders when you already have him and Mason Mount. Mason Mount's look good. He's looked perfect. You don't need to just make him be the new Mbeumo. There's no need to buy the Mbeumo. You could have brought in a decent centre midfielder for that. Go to Crystal Palace, say we'll give you 90 for Wharton or Baleba, or go to La Liga and find some young Spanish midfielder. Maybe Edison from Atalanta. They could have done that. But instead, they went a little bit useless positions, I think.
But I feel you're only focusing on the midfield, because if you look at it, with the dead weight that they got rid of with Anthony, Sancho, Rashford, they kind
Yeah, I
of
get it. Yeah,
cleared
the
a
attack
big
has gone light.
wage bill. Yeah, they cleared a big wage bill, and with that, they were able to fix their goalkeeping issue as well with Lamens, the guy
But
that they
he
signed.
barely cost anything
So,
compared to the attackers.
yeah, but I'm saying they got rid of their defensive issues, and you can't say they fixed it already, because Onana's just gone to Turkey. So at least what they've done is they've got rid of those signings, they made the money out of it, and they've made the specific signings that
I
they
think
feel will suit Amorim's attacking play of football, which is the attack side, the what's it called, the front three, and the goalkeeper, which was the main issue last season, and
I
which is
agree.
why they finished
Right now,
15th.
I think if you go and ask any United fan, was this a good summer window? They will all say no. Mainly because they're excited to see Cunha and Mbeumo play. I'm not going to deny that. But all of them would have gone for Emi Martinez in goal over Lamens, 100%. They would have chosen that. So that's the goalkeeper in itself was a big mistake. They should have gone for an experienced goalkeeper. Because if he flops, I feel bad for this kid already. If he flops now, that's his career ruined. And he came at such a young age. If he does amazingly, brilliant for him. So they should have gone Emi Martinez. I personally wouldn't have signed Sheshko. I would have gone for someone Premier League proven. Go get Mateta from Crystal Palace if you have to. You said Man United has a big name. Mateta or Ollie Watkins, someone like that would have done the job alongside an Mbeumo Cunha, or alongside Mbeumo, Mason Mount. Don't need Cunha or don't need Mbeumo. Buy one of them. Buy a central midfield player who you actually think can run and cover the yards you need to. Because it doesn't matter how good your attack is. If teams could just run through you, they score easily. Like
yeah, but they had goal scoring problems last season, which is why those
They've gone out and
investments.
signed 3 attackers.
That's fine. No. I'm not saying don't sign the attacker. I'm saying you already had another attacker there. Bruno Fernandes can do a job. He's not bad at scoring goals, is he? Bruno Fernandes, go and get Cunha.
He's not going to play up front though. That's not his natural.
No. He's not playing up front. He's playing off the striker. The striker should have been Ollie Watkins. He had Cunha. Bring in Cunha. That's fine. 29. Ollie Watkins, Cunha, Bruno Fernandes. That's your front three. And then you've got a midfielder coming in to be your deep guy next to Casemiro if you have to, or Wharton, or whoever the hell you want to buy. But they used the money wrong, in my opinion.
I don't think that they were ever, but they even ever in for Watkins. Watkins is what? It must be 29.
Watkins was linked to Law. Watkins was linked to leave a lot at the start of the summer.
I would have been very surprised if United brought in Watkins.
They could have gone for Mateta, in my opinion. Mateta would have been.
They did. Did they not try for Mateta at all?
They probably did, but their problem is they just spend the money wrong, in my opinion. And honestly, yes, they did well to get rid of Anthony, Garnacho, Rashford, all these guys. But you've got Diallo already there. You've got Ahmad. You've got Mason Mount. You've got Kobe Mainoo's career. I don't even know what's going on with that. If he's fallen out with Amorim, you should have at least sold him and made some money there. Like get 80 million if you have to. Try and get the money.
Did he fall out with him?
There's some issues. I don't think he rates him anymore. I don't think Amorim rates him. He's not really playing him. There's going to be some sort of issue there. And Chelsea were linked. Real Madrid are linked. They could have possibly said to Real Madrid, "Come on, go take him, 80 million. We could shake on it." But they don't obviously want to sell him. But if you have to, then it's not a problem selling him. But that's the main reason why I had them last. I think they used their money slightly wrong, whereas City used it a little bit better and actually bought players that they needed to. Which that's the main reason I got it. But that was quite a long argument. Let's all vote who we think debated their point the best. We had some controversial ones there. Okay, so we got 2 points for Deva, 1 point for myself, and 1 point for Daniel. So that's the first thing about transfers. Let's move on to the actual Premier League itself. Who do we think is going to be the dark horses of the Premier League? We all talked about Champions League. We had Bodo Glimt as a shout, but Premier League-wise, who is going to be the dark horse for this season? Probably finishing a lot higher than all the other fans expect them to. Okay, so let's start off with Varun this time. We've got 2 Sunderlands, me, Fulham, and Varun, Brighton. Varun, why do you think Brighton will do well, and where do you expect them to finish, roughly?
I mean, I think they had like pretty good transfer activity as well. I looked at it recently. I think they acquired a Kuiper, a guy called Boscagli. So that kind of, I think because of that, they were kind of able to shine up their midfield a bit. They finished 8th last season, so it's not really far from the top 6. They had a couple of injuries, and they're not really viewed as a big money club. So I think going into this season, they're definitely going to have like good momentum. I know they lost obviously João Pedro to Chelsea, so that kind of weakens their attacking threat. But I think they're likely to finish 5th or 7th this season, like between 5th and 7th. So they could definitely push up the top 6 if things start to click for their way. So, and obviously, like I don't think there's any European competition for them this season. So that kind of frees up for them to focus on bigger things, which are in the Premier League. So I feel that might push them ahead to compete amongst the top 6 ranking. So yeah, I think Brighton.
Okay, perfect. Deva, you gone for Sunderland, so it's Daniel. I'm assuming you're backing them to stay up?
Yeah, I back Sunderland to stay up, maybe finish sort of the 14th, 15th, somewhere around there. I think. I just think their transfer window has been really good.
I think
they've
maybe
made some. You think a bit higher?
Yeah, I think even maybe like 12 to 13, because I mean, I think that they are most likely to survive out of the newly promoted teams, despite only going through the playoffs last year, because I mean they've replaced a lot of their starting 11, but with proven players. Like Granit Xhaka in like playing for Sunderland is absurd, to be honest. And some of the other signings they've made have also been exceptional. And so they've shown in the first 3 games they've already got 2 wins, which is more than Southampton got last year. So I mean, that shows that they've got a lot of class.
Did Southampton only win one
I
game
think that
last
they
year?
will definitely stay up.
That's wild.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe they won 2 actually. They won one against Ipswich.
Okay, perfect. I've gone for Fulham. Now, I did say this in my Premier League prediction video because there's always an outside weird team that finishes really high up in the last few years. There was Forest last season. Before that, it was Villa. Before that, it was Newcastle. Some team seems to compete with the Big 6 every year. And I did make a bold claim that I think this year will be Fulham, mainly because they barely signed any players. Their squad is exactly the same as it is. The only loss they had, which I didn't realize at the time, which is actually quite a big loss, I think is Andres Pereira, who was really good for them last season. But Chelsea played them last week. Now, I didn't watch the game, but I heard that Fulham were pretty good against Chelsea. They had a goal unfairly disallowed, which everyone's been talking about non-stop. And considering that's a derby, they turned up decently to that game. Marco Silva, I think, is a very, very good manager. I think if he doesn't do something with this Fulham squad now, he has to leave and choose a new club because he's got potential to him. They've got Josh King, who's this emerging young talent, I think, who looks very good. They've got Raul Jimenez, Rodrigo Muniz, Alex Iwobi is an amazing part of their squad. Their defense is actually, I think, somewhat underrated. They were really good on expected goals against last year. So I had them in my prediction video to finish as a surprise 6th above Tottenham and above Newcastle, I think, which right now, predicting Newcastle and Villa 8th and 9th doesn't look that bad because I think both of them have been very shaky at the start. So that's not bad. Fulham haven't actually won a game yet. I think they've lost to Chelsea and drew the other 2. But to draw to Brighton and to draw to, I forgot who the first game was, but I think the 2 draws they had were actually quite good. So I'm fine with Fulham. I think they can do something this year, be defensively solid, get a few dodgy 1-0s here, similar to what Forest did, and I think they'll finish top 7, top 8, and I think that's good for Fulham again. So who do we think argued their opinion best there? Okay, so we've got 2 votes for myself, 1 for Varun, and 1 for Daniel. Brilliant. So we are sticking with the Premier League this time. Within Premier League players, now obviously we've got the World Cup at the end of the season. I thought it'd be good to see which player from the Premier League is going to have such a good season. Not that he's going to win the Player of the Season or anything, but he's going to make a real claim to get into his country's World Cup squad. Because obviously some players have never been capped by their country. Some players they may be playing in a position where their country doesn't have many of, and they've got a few competitors to get through. Who will have such a good position to fight for their team, whether it's England, France, Germany, Brazil, whoever it is? Which player in the Premier League is really going to shine this year and be undroppable from his World Cup team? Okay, so let's have a look at the answers. I've gone for Hugo Ekitike. Daniel's gone for Igor Thiago. Varun's gone for Joao Pedro. And Deva's gone for Grealish. Now, I do like these shouts. I'll begin. I think Hugo Ekitike, mainly because France right now have a lot of very good attackers. I think he's only been capped twice. I think the other day he did get capped when he came on for about 2. I'm not sure that counts, actually. He came on for like 2 minutes, didn't get to kick the ball, nothing. But if you look at the France attacking outlet right now, the future is going to be around Barcola, Doué, and Kylian Mbappe. The other player there is clearly Ousmane Dembele. There's a really good chance Dembele gets injured before the World Cup, considering how injury prone he is. Last World Cup, I think Deschamps, what he did was he dropped Griezmann back and played essentially a 4-2-3-1 with Griezmann behind Giroud, and it worked really well until the final. The final, I think the first half, they were shambolic, and both Griezmann and Giroud got pulled off for Thuram and Colomwani, I think. So, and both the Thuram and Colomwani were outstanding that game. So it's very clear that Mbappe will start. Possibly Doué is going to start as well. The centre striker position is up for grabs there. Even if it goes to Thuram, which I think it will, or Dembele, he could do what he did with Griezmann again, like the last World Cup, and have a 10 who has played striker before, but is very good at linking up. And I think Hugo Ekitike, if he plays enough for Liverpool this season, this is the only bit if about it. The fact that Isak's come in, will he play enough? I still think he will. If he has a very good Champions League run and a Premier League run, and Liverpool win the Premier League, he could get in a position where he says, listen, Deschamps, you've got to play me here. Like, I would be perfect for this Griezmann role, because Griezmann's retired now, he's not playing. So it's either you put him there, maybe Michael Elise there, or maybe you could try put Dembele in the 10. I don't think that'll work. I think you'd rather have Ekitike in the 10 than him. So that's the main shout I've gone for Ekitike. David, you go for Jack Grealish. Do you think he'll get the England left winger spot?
Yeah, I think there's kind of 3 or 4 England positions in the midfield and attack that are locked. I think that Bellingham will play in the 10, along maybe with someone else. I think Declan Rice will play as that kind of holding. I think Bukayo Saka will play on the right, and I think Harry Kane will play up front. So that leaves a left winger and another number 10. Potentially, I don't know what system Tuchel will play. I'm just going through hypothetically. Now, left winger for England, you've got a few options. You've got Grealish, you've got Rashford, who is similar to Grealish in the fact that he's looking to kind of revive his career. Instead, he's doing it abroad rather than Grealish doing it in the Premier League at Everton, which obviously is more exposed to the likes of Thomas Tuchel, who'll probably see more of Grealish. And then you've got players like Anthony Gordon as well, and Noni Madueke. I think they're your 4 main options for England on the left side, and it's a position that's completely up for grabs, and I can't see why a player like Jack Grealish, who I think Grealish is more similar to a player like Saka than Rashford is. I think Rashford is a lot more direct. He wants to get more in behind teams. But I think Jack Grealish definitely could take that left wing spot if he opts to play 2 number 10s, for example, Bellingham and maybe a Cole Palmer. I think Cole Palmer probably does deserve that spot more than, I don't know, like a Phil Foden.
I don't think Phil Foden deserves the England team at all. I think he's been shambolic for England every time.
Or the likes of, you could put Eze in there as well. The good thing about England now is that it's a good selection headache to have for Tuchel as a manager. There's so much talent within that kind of number 10 to winger role.
Do you think Tuchel will select Grealish if he has a very good season for Everton over Eze if he has just a mediocre season but he wins the league with Arsenal?
Is that a choice? Is that? I think he'll take both.
I think there's a good chance Rashford goes. So if Rashford goes, who will be the other left winger? Gordon, Eze,
Grealish.
or Grealish? You think Grealish?
Eze, I don't think he'll deploy Eze as a left winger. I can't see him deploying Eze as a left-sided winger. I think Eze is more likely to play that position that Palmer or more similar to Foden, kind of off the left as a number 10. Similar to what Florian Wirtz will play for Liverpool. I think kind of off the left, number 10. I think that's where I see Eze shining the most for Arsenal and for England, to be honest. Rather than as a more bona fide left winger like Jack Grealish or Anthony Gordon would be.
Okay, perfect. Varun, you've gone for João Pedro to get to the Brazil team. Now, he has played a few games, but why do you think he'll be the main guy this summer?
I mean, first of all, I think Ancelotti has a lot of faith in him because of his. He had like a pretty good first impression in the Club World Cup when he scored on his debut for Chelsea. I think it was against Fluminense. I think at the moment as well, there's a lot of players that are being up for grabs as rotational players. He can play like as a central striker. He can play on the left side of the attack. So that kind of brings a lot of positional versatility for him within the squad. I think right now, like players such as Neymar, who's like constantly injury prone, and recently he made a comment saying that he wouldn't play on any artificial grass or something because it would like affect his joints because of how fragile it is. So I just feel that kind of gives a lot of space for younger forwards like him just to complete their dual attacking options alongside Vinicius and like Rodrigo, for example. Even though Rodrigo wasn't even selected because I think he wasn't comfortable playing the qualifier games, or Ancelotti wanted to rest him or something. So I think he's a good backup, or like even a good starter for certain qualifier games for Brazil, and he fits into that young, hungry team. So I just think he adds a lot of like attacking flair and finishing capabilities for that.
Do you think he'll start as? Do you think he'll start as a striker or behind the striker?
I think he starts behind the striker, because I think that for the qualifier games as well, when they played against Bolivia, he played on the left side. So I think, and even though they lost that game, he actually had a really good performance. So I think that's potentially where Ancelotti might play him. And he's going into the team with like a lot of good momentum as well. So like he doesn't have much competition right now, like on that team. So I feel if Ancelotti maybe wants to have like a different like tactical demand and wants to rotate him on another side of the pitch, that he can definitely do that with him. And he's definitely in form right now as well, so he can get a lot of minutes on his hand in order to improve with the rest of the squad. So yeah, I think and he had a really good season with Brighton as well. So as the season progresses, I can definitely see him being a good starter for the World Cup next year.
Who else is he really competing with for Brazil? Like Richarlison, maybe, and someone else.
Like so, Neymar, Vinicius. There was Rodrigo, Rafinha at a point as well, but Rafinha is still in the squad, but he's also kind of he's a bit injured at the moment after the Bolivia game. So
Daniel, you gone for Igor Thiago. Why do you think he will make his team?
Yeah, so I want to mention that he's also one competing with João Pedro for the striker spot for Brazil. So he's already been called up for the U23 national team. I mean, he was called up 2 years ago at this point. But this season he started with 2 goals in 3 games for Brentford, which is pretty good. Also, I feel like he's one of the only like proper strikers that Brazil have, because João Pedro is like, that's just fun. I think that he's better as a false 9, so playing a little bit behind the striker. And Richarlison, I mean, I guess Richarlison is, although he's also not really like a proper target man forward.
Every time he plays,
I'd say that Igor Thiago is. I mean, he is, but he's a bit inconsistent, I feel like, and he's also injury prone. Although, I mean, he performed very well at the last World Cup. So
he did, yeah.
He's obviously in the running currently for the striker spot, but I think that Igor Thiago is a very outside shout. Also, he's not been capped, unlike the other players which we mentioned. So I just decided to go for a bit of a wilder one. Also, I have personal affection to him because he used to play in Bulgaria, and so I watched him transfer. So I've known about him for like 5 years, and his style of play has evolved quite a lot since then. Because before he used to just do basically just tap in goals, whereas now he does a lot more. And last year wasn't easy for him because he was injured the whole year, but this year I feel like he'll hit the ground running, and he might not go to the World Cup, but I think he'll have an outside chance. And I think he's just
Brazil,
a weirder choice than.
Yeah, considering the striker position of Brazil isn't exactly world class like it used to be, do we think either Gabriel Jesus or Gabriel Martinelli have a chance of making the squad? Jesus will be injured for a lot of it, but will he?
Martinelli needs a miracle if he's going to get into the business.
Martinelli, I think, even though he probably should be in the squad by now, but I don't think he's expected to be by anyone.
I'd take Esteval over Martinelli.
I would take Esteval over Martinelli as well.
That's why I'm saying Martinelli needs a ridiculous resurgence in order to get back into that team.
And Vinicius Junior is clearly the best left winger they have, so I don't think there's any need to have Martinelli as a first.
I take Neymar over Martinelli.
Neymar is just he's been completely out of form for them recently, and he's injured like at every game for Santos. So he's playing in the league. So, and they're fighting relegation right now. So it's just.
You could take Coutinho. I mean, he's cooking for Vasco da Gama at the moment.
The only thing is, would they take Igor Thiago, or would they take some younger, promising striker from a Brazilian league? I think
that's what Ancelotti is doing. He's not even.
That's what he does a lot. That's the only problem with Igor Thiago. No, no, but I think he might give you might give a bit more love to the Brazilian Serie A over Premier League for a few choices here. I think if it's
Well,
a
I think
backup,
that's what the Brazilian Federation want, though.
because they
I
want to
think
promote they want to make
that's
the
a
league
decision from
bigger.
higher up. Yeah.
I think that's the only negative with Brazil for this. Like, even João Pedro, I think will get selected for the World Cup. Don't get me wrong. I think he will. I think he'll have a
João
really
Pedro should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there might be a bit more love for some guys that we haven't heard of that will turn up in the World Cup. Over.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like if you,
That's what Martinelli has to be worried about here. He might not be the backup left winger. Even if Vinicius gets injured, then he'll get taken. Don't get me wrong.
If you look at the squad list, a lot of the players that are being favored through are from the Brazilian league, or they're extremely young talents coming from the Brazilian leagues. Whether they're
That's good to be honest. I like it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that's where the priority is going to fall for this next, for the next year campaign. Because I think the next couple qualifiers are in October or November, if I'm not mistaken. So
Brazil qualified.
Yeah, I think it's an international break. So so until then, I think that's when we're gonna keep seeing these young talents being implemented into Ancelotti's system, because genuinely I feel Brazil, the main issue they had was their manager, and I don't think it was. I mean, obviously, like the team that they had wasn't really like stacked or great on paper, but I do feel as a team. On paper they were brilliant, but as a team they didn't function whatsoever. Their midfield didn't even know what they were doing, or they didn't gel well. Even though Paquetá played really well before Ancelotti joined, their team in general wasn't like they didn't gel well in terms of chemistry. So I feel like I want to see Ancelotti bring that, and I feel with the likes of João Pedro kind of making that claim, or the kind of impression that he has with Chelsea so far. It should be a good shout, but I'd like to see them go far personally.
Okay, perfect. So let's have a quick debate. Who did fought for their opinion best there, and then we'll move on to the final question of the day. Okay, so I got 2 points there. Deva got 1, and so did Daniel. So let's move on to the final question of the day. Once again, finishing with the Premier League. We've decided who's going to be the dark horse, who's going to be the players to watch out for, but who will win the Player of the Season award this year in the Premier League? We are 3 games in, so we've seen a bit of all the players. Who do you think is going to be the best player this year? Okay, so mix of answers here. Daniel, you've gone for Mo Salah. I've gone for Saka. Varun's gone for Florian Wirtz, and Deva's gone for Esteval. Varun, why do you think Florian Wirtz will be the best player in the Premier League this season?
I mean, I just think the fact that he's at a very high-profile club with the kind of attacking talent that he has around him is going to create a lot of opportunities and allow him to be in the spotlight to kind of rack up those goal contributions, especially in the big games. So, and I think obviously, I also want to lean towards players like Saka and Salah or even Haaland, to be fair. But I feel with those kind of midfielders who are behind him, he can definitely tend to score a lot of goals again, even whether it's a tap-in or not. He definitely has that creative and occasional scoring ability to get him up in the Golden Boot rankings, or whether it's in the Premier League. So, and he stood out with Leverkusen last season. He was their top scorer. So I feel he can definitely carry that momentum into the league this season, into the Premier League this season, and with the likes of them, probably winning the Champions League, the Premier League. Sorry, I think that kind of pushes his chances very high as well. So that's definitely gonna, give him that edge over the other players, and hopefully works in his favor as well. So, yeah, I think I'm looking at hopefully maybe 15 to 20 goals or 20 GA. So
15 to 20 goals.
Yeah,
I think any little fun would take that.
Yeah, I think he's going to do really well with them.
You don't think he's been a little bit disappointing so far?
I mean, what is it? 3 games in?
3 games in, and there hasn't been much excitement from him, I would say.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I want to give him that time. I don't want to. I just don't want to. I don't want to judge too quickly. That I just feel he will kick off on the slot, and he's gonna eventually gel well with the rest of the team. So, yeah, I could be wrong, but that's what I see of him. I think he's got a lot of potential to finish highly.
Daniel, you've gone for his teammate Mohamed Salah. Do you also think Liverpool are going to win the league?
I think he's just the safe choice. To be fair, he just wins it every year, or he's close to winning it every year. Basically, I think Salah is like if Liverpool had reached like the semis or the final of the Champions League last year, he would definitely be the favorite for the Ballon d'Or, and I think it will be no different this year. He's just, in my opinion, probably the best player in the world, maybe apart from Mbappe and Dembele, possibly. So I think that he has a really good chance at winning it this year as well. And I mean, we'll see, because if Liverpool do as well as they're supposed to, and I mean, so far they're playing pretty well, he should win it pretty easily, I think, because I mean, how has he played so far? Actually, I think he's been
I think he's been a bit
disappointing in some of the games,
disappointing
but he still recorded a goal or an assist in all of them, I think.
I mean, he got a goal in the first one after doing, I'll be honest,
I mean, for
quite
his
poor for
standards,
80
maybe.
minutes. And then against Newcastle, he got the assist when he passed it through Szoboszlai's legs, which was all Szoboszlai, really. It was not Salah. And then Ungamoa scored. So I think he got an assist that game. I'll be honest, I haven't been too impressed with Salah recently, just because he looks a little bit slower and he looks a little bit off it, I would say. So do all the Liverpool players, to be honest, especially Wirtz. But the biggest thing with Salah is he's going to AFCON in December. So he's going to miss, I think, 4 to 5 games. Do you think that will affect his goal ratio, affect his possible chance of winning the...
I mean, that's an interesting point, actually, which is something that we didn't consider with Sunderland earlier, because half their team is going to AFCON. I think that Salah, that actually, might be detrimental for him.
He did win it last time, to be fair, in 2022. He was I think he won the Ballon d'Or. Sorry, the Premier League Player of the Season that year, I think. Yeah, 2022 he did. I mean, 2024 he didn't.
To be honest, I don't think 4 or 5 games would be that detrimental for him. If he missed like 10 or 15, then it might become an issue. But 4 or 5 games, like, it's normal to miss through suspension or through an injury.
Deva, why have you gone for Eshtaval? He started well. Do you think he can...
I'll be honest, I thought the question was Young Player of the Year. But we have made a grave error.
How do you want for Salah Young Player of the Year?
No, I wouldn't. I think my actual answer would have been Van Dijk, to be honest, for Player of the Year.
I think Van Dijk has actually been the player of the season so far. Only 3 games I would have him for.
I think it is Van Dijk. I mean, I said earlier about, maybe, he is 34 now, and so, he is kind of, he might be getting on a bit, but from the start of the season, I mean, he's been unbelievable. I thought especially against Newcastle and Arsenal, I thought it was absolutely outstanding.
Newcastle, especially when one of the best I've seen in ages, man.
Liverpool's defense against Newcastle was all over the place. Kirkes was really poor. Konate was absolutely shocking, to be honest. But Van Dijk was exceptional. I mean, without him, I think we definitely would have lost that game, and the Arsenal one as well. I think this season it's going to be less so about attacking individual players going forward. I mean, Salah definitely could win it for sure, Saka as well, depending on who wins the title. But I think it's going to be more based on your tactical system and how good you are defensively that's going to win you the title this year. And I think Van Dijk's just so key to everything good that Liverpool do defensively. So I think that he has the best chance of winning it based on the first 3 games.
I'm still a little bit hesitant on Saka on whether Arsenal are going to win the league now. I can't lie. After seeing them 3 games, they seem like the exact same team from last year, and I'm a little bit bored. Honestly, that first half against Liverpool, I nearly fell asleep. Mainly because Arsenal were playing, they would just stop Liverpool from playing, but then they themselves weren't playing anything. So it was genuinely probably the most boring match I've ever seen. That suddenly second half at least opened up. But Saka didn't play that game. He was injured. Saka is definitely Arsenal's best forward. If Arsenal win the league, everything has to go through him. Gyökeres could get into good light. Ødegaard will connect well with him. He takes their pieces, which helps them because they score every single corner they take, so he'll get a lot of assists from that. He takes penalties, I think, but that might change because Gyökeres is now here, so I'm not sure whether that will change or not. So automatically your numbers are a little bit more inflated. Plus, he does score a lot of goals in general play. I think he's the kind of player that almost deserves a player of the season eventually. Like, he's been good for about 6 seasons straight now for Arsenal. And if Salah, a Liverpool player, doesn't win it and Arsenal do win the league, I'd much rather him win player of the season than I think any of the other attackers. I think he deserves it more. So on that basis, I think Saka will have their best season numbers-wise. Arsenal will win the league, and Saka will deservedly get player of the season, in my opinion.
I feel a good possibility of that happening is, let's say, even if Arsenal do win, or yeah, they do win the league, and let's say Liverpool comes second, but they have a really like high profile scoring like front three like Salah or Wirtz, and they end up like scoring a rack of goals. I feel like they'll definitely grab up the POTS more than Saka, even if Saka
Yeah,
isn't.
that can happen. That can happen. But then again, Arsenal could come second, and like I remember when City came second to Liverpool in 2020, Kevin De Bruyne got I think 20 assists. They just gave it to him
Yeah,
over
I mean,
Van Dijk,
we
Salah, Henderson, everyone.
Oh yeah,
Did
okay.
he deserve
I
it?
think I think that's because Liverpool had too many players going for that award, so the votes
Yeah,
were all split.
no one shone for Henderson. Jordan Henderson was our player of the year that year. He was
I
unbelievable.
still
But,
can't believe that. I still
um,
can't believe that they ran a
they gave it to Kevin
Henderson
De Bruyne
player
because I
of the
think
year
also in
campaign.
hindsight, the players were probably like, we can't let Jordan Henderson win this trophy over Kevin De Bruyne, so they just all posted for him. So something similar could happen. Saka could get 19 assists, but not win the league, and I think easily he would still get. He'll be a shout for player of the season, unless Salah breaks his record again, which he can do at any point. So I'm just not happy with how Salah's been so far, and I think there is a bit of a curse. Once you sign a contract as you're aging, players tend to fall off a little bit. I don't know if Salah's falling for the same thing that Son did. I hope not, because I think Salah's a little bit better than Son. But if he is, then slowly Vert and Gakpo and Isak will get the stats, not Salah. So even if Liverpool don't win the league, normal people would say, yeah, Salah will get player of the season. I would say there's a bigger chance Van Dijk would than Salah this year.
Yeah, I'd still say Saka. If Arsenal were to win the title, it would be Saka, wouldn't it, over anyone else?
But yeah, those were our player of the season shouts. So let's come back to this in May and see. I don't know, Saka get injury within. I mean, Saka's already injured, isn't he? So yeah, let's hope he's not injured any longer. We'll see who predicted the best here. Let's have our final votes in, and then we'll tally it up and see who won today's on the spot.
Yeah, I think we have an obvious winner.
I need to
That's
count.
Harry, by the way.
Let's have a look
Yeah,
at the
just made
final
it.
results for how much we respect each other's debate. In final position with 3 votes is Varun. Joint second with 6 each, we've got Daniel and Deva, and somehow in first place, even though they hated my Man United argument, I have won the episode with 9 votes. So, thank you guys for listening once again. We will do another one of these, hopefully midway through the season, when we'll evaluate our Champions League predictions or our Premier League predictions and see how crazy of thoughts we have. Leave some comments. What else should we debate about as the season continues? Should we debate about new rules you want to see added in football? Because that will be very entertaining with these guys. But thank you guys for watching. Follow me on TikTok and Instagram as well. But I'll see you guys all later.